Hello guys, in this video we are going to do unconstrained delegation. And unconstrained delegation basically allows a server application to impersonate a client when the server connects to other network resources. So what's going to happen is that I am in a server that has unconstrained delegation checked. So we are going to go ahead and take a look at that so you can see where you can configure that unconstrained delegation. Computers. So I am using the student computer properties. We are going to delegation, and here trust this computer for delegation to any service, Kubernetes only. So that's how you enable unconstrained delegation. And what unconstrained delegation does is that it could delegate or impersonate a client. So since I'm able to impersonate anybody that I have a ticket for, what I need to do is get a ticket. And the way that I'm going to do that basically is I'm going to trick the domain controller server to connect to me via the spool sample, which is a spool sample bug. It was written by the Lee Christensen. So what's going to happen is, since unconstrained delegation has been enabled for this server that I'm on, I'm going to trick the domain controller to connect to my server through that spoon sample bug, which is basically by making it think that that the DC needs to connect to me, and that way I'm going to get a ticket. I'm going to get a TGT from the domain controller, which is going to contain basically the TGT, right? And from that TGT, since I have this TGT here, I'm going to be able to impersonate the domain controller. And if you're able to impersonate the domain controller, rest in peace your your domain, because you can do anything you want. So basically we are going to trick the domain controller to connect to us. That way we are going to get a ticket from the domain controller, and we are going to use that ticket from the domain controller to basically impersonate the domain controller. So that's what's going to happen. Okay, but how do you enumerate unconstrained delegation? How did you find that? Well, I'm going to show you right now. We are going to change the directory, and we're also going to EP bypass. We are going to do the same for over here, so I can just copy and paste because I'm lazy. All right, so from here we want to import the module. If I know how to spell, not a good time to get a new keyboard which has a new layout. So import module, power view, and the way that you can see which server has unconstrained delegation, you can do get domain computer unconstrained, and this one is going to show you all the machines or all the servers that have unconstrained delegation. And if you're able to access that unconstrained, or if you're able to access that server that has unconstrained delegation enabled, and you're able to trick the domain controller to connect to you, then you can do a lot of things like dumping the credentials, which we're going to be doing as well through a D6 sync. So in here we are going to we are going to impersonate the domain controller, and then we are going to do a D6 sync to get the credentials of the administrator, and then we are going to do a passive hatch to get to start a PowerShell command line as the administrator, and then we are going to have access to the entire domain. And then after that, you can even get the credentials for the KRBTGT and do a golden ticket, which we're going to do later on. So as you can see over here, with that command unconstrained delegation, you're going to basically find two by default, which is the domain controller. Here it is, the domain controller, right? This is one of the domain controllers, AD, and also DC. By default, they have unconstrained delegation enabled, but the one that is not a domain controller and it has unconstrained delegation enabled is this student server, which I am right now. If we do a host name, you can see that I am in that server right now. So cool, we have unconstrained delegation on this server. So what can we do with that? Well, what we're going to be doing first is that we are going to monitor with Rubios. So for any new sessions that we get, we are going to basically find it in here. You can see that I have the ticket for the student server and a ticket for the student one. I am the student one, so I don't really care about those. What I really care is about the ticket from the domain controller. So for that, like I said, we are going to be using the spool sample. And the way that is going to happen is I want to trick the domain controller. So DC pen testing .local, that's the domain controller, and I want to trick it to connect to student dot pen testing .local. And after I hit that, if I get any new connections, if I get any tickets, Rubios is going to be able to catch that. Okay, so let's go ahead and press enter over here, and there you go. We can see over here that we got a new ticket, and a new ticket came from the DC, the domain controller. So therefore, I am done with the spool sample because I was able to get the domain controller to connect to me. And now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and copy all of this, which is the ticket. I'm going to open a new file over here. We are going to paste this in here. And what I want to do is that, let me zoom in to this ticket. What I want to do is a base 64 ticket, by the way. What I want to do is first I want to go to edit, line operations, and I want to join the lines. And then I also need to remove these spaces in here. And the way that you do that is by doing a edit, and then we are going is edit, no, search, replace, and I forgot how to do that. Let me see. So we are going to replace, and we are going to put in here is going to be \s asterisk, and we are going to replace it with nothing. You can see the space over here. We're going to remove those spaces. We're going to do match case, wrap around, regular expression, replace all. And that's going to get rid of all the spaces in here. So we replace all the spaces and also replace all the lines. So now what we're going to be running is that ticket. We are going to import that ticket into Rubios. So here's the command that we want to run. Rubios, we are going to execute it. PPT, we are going to import this ticket, and here's a ticket. So let's go ahead and do Control A and C to copy it. We are going to go over here, Control C to cancel it. Clear this out. We don't need any more. I guess it didn't copy it. Control O, Control C. Paste it in here. Press enter. You can see that the ticket has been successfully imported. So Rubios, and if we do a triage, you can see that we have a ticket for student and student one for the student machine and the student one user account, but the one that we are actually looking for is this guy over here. So it was imported. Good. You can also do a instead of triage klist to list everything we have in here. And as you can see, we have a lot of stuff, but the one that I'm focusing on is the domain controller. So we do have it in here. Let's go ahead and clear this out. And now the next step to do is that since we do have access through that ticket that we imported, what we could do is we can import Mimikat, import module. I've missed an L. Clear this out, and then we can run a DC sync attack, which we have done previously, and we want to get the NTLM hash for the administrator user. And then after we get the NTLM for the administrator user, what we're going to do is we are going to pass the hash. We are going to do a pass the hash attack. So the way that we do that is by, let's go ahead and open Notepad, paste it in here. So we're going to invoke Mimikatz command pass the hash for administrator pen testing domain, the NTLM that we don't have right now, but we have it in here. Hopefully, there we go. NTLM hash, same username, administrator. So let's go ahead and copy that bad boy, paste it in here, copy, clear this out first, paste it. So now we are doing a pass the hash attack on the administrator because we got the NTLM hash, and there we go. We got a new window. Invoke command, and from where? From the computer name. Let's go ahead from DC and script block. Who am I? I can never spell who am I. And then hostname. There we go. We are the administrator. We are the DC. But if we do a who am I from here, you're going to get student one, right? Because if we do a connection to it, we are using the administrator hash, right, to authenticate. So that's awesome. We got that through first to Unconstrained delegation. We tricked the domain controller to connect to us so we can get a ticket. We saw the ticket, we copied the ticket, we imported the ticket with Rubio's, and then we did a DC sync attack. We got the NTLM hash for the administrator, and we, as you can see, we have access to the DC basically, right? So that's really awesome. And you know, from here, what you could do, you can just disable the firewall, change the password for everybody, you know, remove groups, remove computers, just get rid of whatever you want because you are the administrator now, right? And if you want to do a connection to it, you can just do enter PS session to the computer name DC. There we go. So you do a who am I, hostname, and if we go back, exit, we are back in the hostname of the student one machine. Who am I? Student as well, student one. So let's go ahead and connect back to it. There you go. Awesome. So also you can do a net user test password 123456 domain. Never mind. Can we do a net user net? I forgot how to add a new user. I think it was up. Add. Still not there. Sorry for that. I forgot how to add a user. Okay, that's fine. Cool. But from here, since you see we have access to these, to the DC, if you want to see that I'm not kidding, we are in the administrator pen testing documents. Let's go ahead and move to the C drive, and in the C drive, let's go ahead and make a directory test. Before we do that, before we hit enter, let's go ahead and go to the DC, you know, which I have access to, of course. This is just my lab environment. Let's go ahead and go to the C drive. You're going to see that we don't have that test directory. Let's go ahead and go back to student, make directory test. You can see that I have access to make that test. If we go back to the DC, you can see that test over here that was created at 7:25. Time it is 7:25. So awesome. So we do have access to the DC now. So that's how you are able to abuse unconstrained delegation, how to find it, and all that good stuff. So thank you for watching.